So we start with the big picture, which is the PQF. If you look at the program, then you will have a presentation. Dr. Ray Vea will have a presentation and the AQRF. Then we go to the details because the PCTS guidelines and principles and then guide to matching of learning outcomes will be presented. And the PCTS is under the pathways and equivalencies. And this afternoon, we will have discussions and presentations on pilot programs on dentistry, tourism, hospitality management, agriculture, and biosystems engineering. So my presentation is an overview of the Philippine qualifications framework. So I'm giving my permission to the organizers to provide you a copy of my PowerPoint presentation so you do not have to take pictures of my slides. So my session objectives will be the following. That at the end of the session, all the participants should be able to discuss or learn about the global and national evolution of the National Qualification Framework, which is the PQF for the Philippines. Identify the components of the PQF because there are components of the PQF. Third, relate the PQF to the development, recognition, and comparison of qualifications. Fourth, compare the PQF to selected national qualifications framework of other ASEAN countries. Fifth, discuss the notable accomplishments so far because we started in 2012 and we're now in 2023. Then identify the main concerns in the operationalization of the PQF. So you have this outline, global and national evolution of NQFs, diagram and components, conceptual framework, comparison, accomplishments, and operationalization. You now see on this slide, there are 3 generations in the global evolution of national qualifications framework. The first generation started in the 1980s to 1990s, and you see UK, Scotland, Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa. And the second generation from the late 1990s to the early 2000s, you now see 4 ASEAN countries, Malaysia, Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. And out of the 4 ASEAN countries at the present time, I would say that Malaysia has the more advanced implementation of their national qualifications framework. Then we have the third generation, mid-2000 up to the present time, and you have a lot of countries. That's not an exhaustive list. So as far as the PQF is concerned, as I said, we belong to the second generation of national qualifications framework. Way back in 1998, we started with the TVET sector. And if you're going to do a research on national qualifications framework, most frequently, national qualifications frameworks have started with the TVET sector. From the start, if you are dealing with only one sector, that's a sectoral qualifications framework, which eventually became comprehensive qualifications framework. In 2003, up to 2005, we already had Philippine TVET qualifications framework. In 2004, a presidential executive order was issued by former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo promoting the expansion of the qualifications framework. In 2012, former President Aquino, the late President Aquino, issued Executive Order 83, and this was institutionalized the Philippine Qualifications Framework. And we started discussing, presenting the Philippine Qualifications Framework way back in 2012. In 2014, RA 10647, the Lardized Education Act, was passed. In 2016, the CPD law, RA 10912 was passed, and in 2018, RA 10968, the PQF Act was passed. Now, looking at the events we should have started with the RA 10968. Because as you see, bakit yun ang last? Nauna yung mga ibang components, di ba? Because during that time, when we were discussing and presenting the executive order, we found some weaknesses and we suggested that the PQF should be legislated rather than just stay as an executive order. Now, this is the first version that we could get hold of, and this is circa 2005, the Philippine National Qualifications Framework of 2005. If you look at this, for the first column on the left, you have Certificate 1, Certificate 2, Certificate 3, Diploma 1, and Diploma 2. So that's the column for the technical vocational sector. And at the bottom, you see early childhood education, elementary education, and secondary education, and that's for basic education. And at the rightmost column, you see the column for higher education. It started with associate, then bachelor's degree, postgraduate diploma, master's degree, and doctorate. So this is the 2005 version of the Philippine Qualifications Framework. It contained TechVoc, Basic Ed, and Higher Ed. This was the diagram when the EO 83 was issued way back in 2012. And you will now take note of an additional column, which is labeled level. So there are now 8 levels, level 1 to level 8. And then you see basic education column, a technical education and skills development column, and a higher education column. But in contrast to the 2005 version, you now see the basic education incorporated opposite level 1 and level 2. Whereas in the 2005 version, you saw basic education below the diagram of the TechVoc and higher education. Other changes, you now see certificate, which was converted to national certificate. National Certificate 1, National Certificate 2, 3 and 4, and then Diploma. There's now disappearance of the Diploma 1 and Diploma 2. And in higher ed, you do not see associate anymore because the column for higher education starts with level 6, baccalaureate, level 7, post-baccalaureate, and level 8, doctoral and postdoctoral. Together with the introduction of the 8 levels, there were descriptors and domains. The domains included for level 6, For level 6, the domains included 3 domains: knowledge, skills, and values, application, and degree of independence. And you now see descriptors. For descriptor for KSV, graduates at this level will have a broad and coherent knowledge and skills in their field of study for professional work and lifelong learning. For application and professional work in a broad range of discipline and or for their study, and degree of independence, independent or in terms of related field, and qualification type, baccalaureate degree. Now this is version 3, year 2014, which was approved via a PQF National Coordinating Committee resolution in 2014. What's the biggest change that you would notice? It's in the basic education column. Because instead of basic ed being assigned to level 1 and level 2, it's now again brought down below the diagram which is more consistent with the 2005 version. Because at that time, they thought that basic education, grade 12, is foundation for textbook and higher education. And another change is that the descriptors, instead of starting with graduates, now starts with demonstrated broad and coherent knowledge because of the realization that it's not only graduates who will be utilizing the Philippine Qualifications Framework, because we are dealing with workers, we are dealing with learners, and not just graduates. So you now see the descriptor, demonstrated broad and coherent knowledge, application in professional creative work. So this is 2014 version. So level 7 also says, demonstrated advanced knowledge and skills in a specialized or multidisciplinary field of study and high substantial degree of independence. And for level 8, demonstrated highly advanced systematic knowledge and skills in highly specialized or complex multidisciplinary field of learning. So what's the lesson from all of these versions? The lesson is that a professional, a worker, a learner, a graduate, one who is pursuing a certificate course, associate course, will be assigned to a particular or specific level with a determination of compliance to a level descriptor. So there are levels 1 to 8. And the most important is assignment based on level descriptors. So you have level 6, you have level 7, level 8 for higher ed. You have levels 1 to 5 for the textbook qualifications, NC1 to diploma. And there are qualification types. So proceeding to the components, you now see that we now speak of qualifications. When before we were speaking of degree, we are speaking of diploma that you have earned. It's now a more comprehensive term, qualifications. And the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangements, we talk of qualifications which will include the degrees, the diplomas, the certificates, the licenses, because those who pass licensure examinations given by the Professional Regulation Commission are included. Second, use of learning outcomes. That's why we started with demonstrated in the level descriptors. Third, qualifications register. All qualifications should be included in the Philippine Qualifications Register, the PQR, and the lead agency for this is TESDA. You also have quality assurance. We have a saying or statement or motto that all qualifications should be quality assured. Fifth, pathways and equivalencies, which includes the PCTS and ladderized education. International alignment, the lead agency is the Professional Regulation Commission. Now we have added lifelong learning. The CPD, which is also being implemented by the PRC, is a component of the Philippine Qualifications Framework, and then the credit accumulation and transfer system. Sorry. Now I have made up this conceptual framework. Although I recognize that not all professions are involved in the ASEAN Mutual Recognition Arrangements, I incorporated this into the conceptual framework. At the middle are the National Qualifications Framework. And the main objective of establishment of NQFs is the development of qualifications. And it is this criterion or intention or purpose which is responsible for the variations in the national qualifications frameworks of countries. Because other qualifications frameworks may have not only 8 levels, but 9, 10, 11, 12 levels of qualifications, because that's what they need in their country. Then recognition of qualifications in the ASEAN mutual recognition arrangements, and then comparison of qualifications, which will be discussed and presented by Dr. Vea. And all of this, if we develop qualifications, is for the purpose of national building, nation building and development, and competitiveness and mobility of professionals and workers. Now, let me give you an idea regarding selected national qualifications framework of our neighboring countries have established. This is the Indonesian qualifications framework. And you see several columns: formal academic, educational, formal vocational, professional, educational, but there are 9 levels. And if you look at level 9, level 7, professional, level 8, specialist, level 9, subspecialist. And physician in the Philippines is assigned to level 7, baccalaureate. A nurse in the Philippines is assigned to level 6 with a baccalaureate degree. And a physician and nurse in Indonesia are both assigned to level 7, professional. So you'll have to understand the principles being utilized in the implementation. And you now see the rightmost column where you have operation, technician, analyst, and they can go up to level 9. They are not limited to a lower level. This is the Malaysian qualifications framework. They also have 8 levels, just like the Philippine qualifications framework. They have skills, vocational, technical, higher education, academic and professional. Level 6 in skills and vocational technical. They also have levels 1 to 5, certificate. So there's now a variation, diploma and advanced diploma. And of course, in the higher education sector, you now see a very big difference compared to the Philippine qualifications framework, because they start with level 3, certificate, level 4, diploma, level 5, advanced diploma. So those are not present in the PQF. And in number of presentations that I have delivered, I have always been asked, why don't you have levels lower than level 6 in the higher education sector? And of course, there's an extreme right column, which is accreditation of prior experiential learning, which you do not find in the Philippine qualifications framework. This is Thailand, and you now see 9 levels. Level 5, bachelor's degree, and then certificate 1, 2, and 3. And I now present principles of the referencing process, but the details will be presented by Dr. Revea after my presentation. The main purpose is trying to determine to what level a national qualifications framework is as far as the AQRF is concerned. So we do not reference to another qualifications framework of another country. We refer to the AQRF. And if the PQF is level 6 is referred to level 6 of the AQRF, but for a country with 9 levels, it's a different level, then that will mean that if we reference to a 9-level country, then we may have differences in certain levels. But as an example, I'm giving you this, a Filipino engineer assigned PQF level 6 based on the Philippine qualifications framework. For example, moves to Malaysia. And the Malaysian qualifications framework has already been referenced to the AQRF. And the level 6 of Malaysia also corresponds to the level 6 AQRF. Then we may be able to conclude that if a Filipino engineer moves to Malaysia and he is assessed based on the Malaysian qualifications framework, he will also be assigned level 6 in the Malaysian qualifications framework. So that's just a principle of how we assign a Filipino will always get his original qualification level from his own country. But if he stays and moves to another country, he may be assessed based on the host country qualifications framework. Now, just for comparison, let me show you one of the most mature, if not the most mature, the Scottish Credit and Qualifications Framework. At one time, the PRC team went to Scotland to benchmark with the Scottish qualifications. Sorry, nag-move na, hindi ko pinapress. Yeah. The Scottish qualifications frameworks have 12 levels. And you see, they have, sorry, keeps moving. They have SQA qualifications, and then qualifications of higher education, and then vocational qualifications. And bachelor's degree may be found in level 7. But you also see qualifications of higher education where bachelor's degree is in level 9 and you have honors degree, graduate diploma in level 10. For us, we are limited to 8 levels. And an example for medicine, because I'm a general surgeon by specialization, if I graduate from the College of Medicine, I am already assigned to level 7 because I already have a baccalaureate degree before I entered the College of Medicine. If I take up specialization, general surgery, theoretically, I'm already assigned to level 8. But if I have subspecialization like cardiovascular surgery, I will still be in level 8 because there's no higher level than level 8. So even if I obtain 3 or 4 subspecializations, I will always be in level 8. Hong Kong has only 7 levels. But again, as I said, it's the needs of the country that determine the number of levels. And if they feel that 7 levels already fulfill or respond to their needs, then nobody can force them to change. This is the FIQUAR. Sorry. Bumalik sa UAE. UAE has 10 levels. Why did we choose Scotland Qualifications Framework and UAE? Simple reason. The Scotland Qualifications Framework is the most mature, and UAE because there are so many Filipino workers and professionals in the United Arab Emirates. And we are telling our professionals, if you go there, try to learn the qualifications framework of the United Arab Emirates. Because bachelor's degree is assigned level 7. So the question is, will there be a higher compensation or remuneration because I belong to level 7? I could not answer that question because try going there and try having yourself assessed based on the UAE qualifications framework. Because that may determine the compensation and the visa being given to a foreign professional. So as I said, there's a Philippine qualifications register. So every qualification is registered and there are requirements for the registry. Now, these are qualifications agencies, just to give you a sample. And there are basic qualifications issued, NC1 to diploma, bachelor, master, doctorate degrees, and registered and licensed professional for PRC. What are the basis for the qualifications? May lag. Basis for the issuance of qualifications, the TRs or training regulations for TESDA, the PSGs, policy standards and guidelines for CHED, and the table specifications for the PRC. Because we have the table specifications that guide our licensure examinations. The system of conferment of qualifications, because I have always been asked, what is the difference between academic qualification and professional qualification? So you see on the left, direct and through registered programs for TESDA, through authorized higher education institutions with government permit. So it's the higher education institutions which confer the qualifications, but they have to be authorized by the CHED. In comparison, for professional qualifications like the qualifications of nurse, a graduate of a nursing course is conferred the Bachelor of Science in Nursing by the higher education institution, level 6, but I label this as academic qualification. Once that nurse passes the nurse licensure examination, the PRC confers the professional qualification, which is also PQF level 6. So there's a difference. Why? What's the big difference? If you just possess the academic qualification, of course, there's a professional regulatory law which governs the practice of nursing.
To everyone.
And
today marks a dawn.
If a person with academic qualifications tries to perform the tasks or scope of practice of a nurse, he or she will be charged for illegal practice if he does not possess the professional qualification that is being conferred by the PRC. That's a very big difference. So for the PCTS, we have come up with this, and you now see an added column, the post-degree or the professional track. And in an assessment by the World Bank, I think I missed some slides. Sorry. You now see an added column of professional qualifications. And for level 5, which is below level 6, sub-professional 5, sub-professional 4, then you have registered and licensed professional, specialist 1, specialist 2, because the World Bank consultants have told us that we lack professional qualifications. And the PRC ID in the future will now contain not just nurse or physician, but the profession and then the qualification title, and at a later point in time, a PQF level, and in the future, even an AQRF level. So those changes will be incorporated in the PRC ID, and that's how we will operationalize the PQF. My last 2 slides, this is just to show you that even below the level of bachelor's or baccalaureate degree, the PRC is conducting or administering licensure examinations for sub-professionals, meaning master electricians, electronics technicians, dental hygienists, dental technologists, pharmacy assistant, real estate salespersons, electronics technician, chemical technicians. And because of this, the PRC plays a very big role as far as PCTS implementation is concerned. And that's the reason why in the afternoon today, you will be given a presentation by Dr. Melinda Garcia on dentistry with details on how vertical mobility will be implemented, meaning a doctor of medicine can go down and acquire the qualification of a PQF level 5 or PQF level 4, which is dental technology or dental hygienist. And a dental technologist and a dental hygienist can go up to level 6. with the use of PCTS principles for that technologists or hygienists to pursue higher education levels or qualification. So hopefully, I have given you an overview of the Philippine qualifications framework so that it will be easier for you to understand the AQRF, the PCTS guidelines and principles, the PCTS guide to matching of learning outcomes, and sample pilot programs which will be presented this afternoon. So thank you very much for your kind attention.